Hi everyone, welcome to Michelle on the Money. This is all about your money from consumer to business news in the bi-state. We are starting with the Federal Reserve. The Fed just cut interest rates for the third straight time in a close vote by Fed standards anyway, 10-3. This will have an impact on home loans and savings. Now the Fed decided to cut its baseline interest rate by a quarter point, which brings the rates to their lowest level in more than 3 years. It made the decision without key government data to try to balance out high inflation and a cooling job market. The clock is ticking on St. Louis County's 2026 budget. The board passed part of it this week, but missed a critical deadline on most budget bills. And the war of words is growing louder with County Executive Sam Page. So here's a look in Clayton from the council floor. Several items did indeed move forward, including more than $10 million for convention and recreation, nearly $4 million for opioid remediation, and $159 million for mass transit. Now the big fight is over the general fund, the health fund, the parks fund, where an $81 million deficit has to be fixed. Council members say they are narrowing it down, but one last round of negotiations is still underway. The council says a final budget is coming next week, but they are also calling the county executive's plan, quote, delusional. Right now, St. Louis County is encouraging you to do your taxes online. Personal property and real estate bills have been available online since November 1st. All you have to do is enter your name on the county's tax payment website to view your bill, pay, or print past receipts. Other options include mailing your payment or using secure drop boxes at county offices. We should mention that all payments must be postmarked by December 31st to avoid penalties. Right now, St. Charles County is addressing the concerns of some with senior property tax credit. The county collector of revenue says many people are asking why the credit is so small. And in a statement, the collector of revenue says the state didn't design this to be a big tax cut your first year, but you will be glad you signed up because the savings will only get bigger as the years go by. The popular program rolled out back in 2024 and now includes 28,000 St. Charles County homeowners. And so far, the program has saved taxpayers an estimated $5 million. St. Louis city leaders are touting the success of the Guaranteed Basic Income Program. This program gives $500 a month to 540 families. And leaders say families are using the money for housing, utilities, food, and medical needs. Data from Washington University shows that the money has helped those families boost their credit scores and reduce debt.
Overall, our findings show that when cities and states create public programs that promote autonomy and trust, like St. Louis did with the Guaranteed Basic Income Program, parents will use those programs to improve the lives of their families in diverse and important ways.
St. Louis philanthropists funded this program after a lawsuit stopped the city from using money from the American Rescue Plan. The Show Me State is launching a program to help make child care more affordable. This is called Missouri Child Care Works and allows child care expenses to be split between eligible employers, the state, and parents. Now, advocates say under the new program, participating families could see their child care expenses reduced by up to 75%.
This is an opportunity for parents who make more than subsidy to truly, truly, truly invest in their children, not for more they can afford, but what they desire.
Parents and employers who want to apply for the program can go to ksdk.com and look for this story under the As Seen on TV section. Changes are coming to the U.S. Steel plant in Granite City. U.S. Steel is announcing that it's firing up one of 2 blast furnaces at its plant in the Metro East, bringing hundreds of jobs back to the community. United Steelworkers 1899 says they will have to hire around 400 people to fire it back up by next spring. Union leaders say, this switch doesn't just happen overnight or with the flip of a switch even. It takes about 2 weeks to get the assets ready to produce quality steel.
It is a huge amount of work, not only to get the assets ready to go, but to get people shifted back to what they knew and get new people to learn what they need to do. Have faith in everybody here.
This comes after months of letters to the president, rallies, and hard work by Steelworkers Local 1899, and then pressure from Illinois politicians like the mayor, Mike Parkinson.
And when the steel mill, started shuttering the doors, that was the biggest fight that I've had.
Now, Governor J.B. Pritzker and Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski say that they are committed to ensuring a bright future for the families who built the community. Officials hope to have the plant up and running in early spring of next year. Many of our neighbors are still hurting after the May tornado, and as we approach winter, there are concerns for housing and property. Brent Solomon reports on a grassroots effort trying to help people make ends meet.
I can say gratefully now, put one foot in front of the other.
A good attitude and the support of his neighbors, helping Navy veteran Bill Atkins weather one of the toughest times of his life. Back on May 16th, he was trying to get to safety.
And I was about 2 feet from the doorway to the basement.
But he couldn't get there before heavy debris flew through his window.
As I was taking a step, it just sheared off my lower leg. I have a prosthetic now.
Add to that another frustration plaguing he and so many of his neighbors in the Academy neighborhood.
We need to get back in our home, and we can't.
A lot of our neighbors, we don't even know where they are because they've been displaced. Some are attempting to stay in their homes simply because if they leave, all their possessions might walk out behind them.
With heavy winds and cold weather in the forecast, volunteers are now racing to the rescue. The Rebuild Academy effort, organized by neighbors Allie Rand and Carol Lynn Hoff-Bell, has drawn volunteers from all over, clearing storm damage, stabilizing homes, and now making repairs, rooftops, flooring, brickwork. Thousands of dollars in donations have paved the way.
It rebuilt actually the walls here on this home over here, a couple of the homes over on Enright also, as well as over on Clarendon.
Now they're teaming up with Catholic Charities to keep that goodwill flowing so the work can ramp up ahead of the bitter cold.
And I need windows.
Got it.
To get through the winter. We're in a dire situation.
Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
For more information on volunteering or donating to the rebuilding effort, you can visit the As Seen on TV section of KSDK.com. Of course, these cold temperatures have Spire launching a new program to help customers. It's called the Customer Charge Waiver Program. Spire will waive its monthly customer charge of $22 for people on limited income in Missouri. The program is expected to begin early next year, and the company says customer support specialists are also available to help people with things like budget billing, payment arrangements, and energy assessment. In less than a week, a bird flu outbreak has wiped out more than 1,000 chickens at a Metro East farm. This all took place at Funk Farms, a 6th-generation farm just outside of Freeburg. 5 on your side's Holden Kerwicki spoke with the farm's owner, who was left with nothing.
When he started running the family farm in 2021,
the farm was officially founded in 1834.
Joel Funk decided to try something different: free-range chickens.
Birds seemed to be the easiest thing for me to start with because livestock hadn't been raised on this farm for production agriculture in decades.
His flock quickly grew to include more than 900 chickens, along with roughly 100 geese and guineas. But Saturday morning, he noticed something was off.
I found about a dozen dead birds in the morning.
He submitted the birds to the USDA for testing Monday.
I found out that night that I had avian influenza.
After setting up a quarantine zone, Funk says federal officials killed and buried the entire flock, along with 200 dozen eggs, because there have been rare cases of the disease spreading to humans.
From a containment standpoint, they want to make sure that everything is dead. There's no more replication of the virus.
Funk must now wait 120 days before he's allowed to have chickens back on his farm. He told me that's going to cost him about $5,000 a month in lost wages, but he did add that the USDA is going to cover the cost to replace his flock. Reporting in Freeburg, Illinois, Holden Kerwicki, 5 on your side.
President Trump is giving farmers $12 billion in aid to help as they struggle to sell their crops while getting hit by rising costs. This move comes after the president raised tariffs on China as part of a broader trade war. China has since agreed to buy more U.S. soybeans, but sales so far have been pretty slow.
This money would not be possible without tariffs. The tariffs are taking in, hundreds of billions of dollars, and we're giving some up to the farmers because they were mistreated by other countries for, maybe right reasons, maybe wrong reasons.
Farmers are expected to get the money by the end of February, and payments will be limited to no more than $155,000. Lawmakers on both sides of the river are reacting to this farm aid. Senator Eric Schmitt from Missouri released a statement saying, in part, "I am grateful for the Trump administration's continued support to the men and women who feed and fuel our nation and the world." Meanwhile, Senator Dick Durbin slammed the idea on social media because of Trump's tariffs. Illinois farmers need help. The president sends $20 billion in relief to Argentina's farmers, but $11 billion to American farmers instead of ending his tariffs that hurt U.S. agriculture. The city of Wildwood needs help to manage its deer population, and local hunters are trying to help for free. According to new data, there's nearly 3.5 times more deer in the area than what is recommended by the Missouri Department of Conservation. Local bow hunters asked the council to let them control the population.
When is the last time you had a crowd like this ready to volunteer to help the city? And to turn us away tonight will be seriously the biggest mistake this city will ever make.
After the vote, the council approved having a city committee explore how to integrate these hunters into deer control efforts in the years to come. Well, have you heard this? Right now, landlines could become a thing of the past in Illinois. AT&T customers are getting letters telling them that the company will be pulling the plug on its landlines in March of 2027. AT&T first started pushing for the end of traditional landlines back in 2017, so it's been a minute. The Citizens Utility Board, though, has been fighting to keep landlines connected.
This was sad and frustrating development. There are still a lot of people who could use plain old no frills phone service that's reliable and affordable, but it's not surprising because the company's been trying to do this for years.
In a statement, an AT&T spokesperson said the company is working with customers to upgrade their copper-based service to newer, less expensive options like AT&T Phone Advanced. As part of that upgrade, copper-based service will eventually be discontinued in these areas. This is a multi-year process, and no customer will be left without access to voice or 911 service. Get this, beer known to be light on the budget is growing in popularity. According to Anheuser-Busch, Busch Light is now the nation's #2 fastest growing beer. The company said this week that Busch Light has accelerated momentum since 2021, going from the #10 spot to the second, at least in terms of growth. AB says Busch Light is actually the #1 top selling beer now in 10 states, including Illinois and Missouri, thanks to more choices like Busch Light Apple Beer. And a company known for its language learning apps is ruffling some feathers after installing a sign in Florissant. A banner for Duolingo with the words "coming soon" now drapes the sign of the closed Hooters location off of North Lindbergh. It features the company's mascot, which, by the way, is an owl, just like Hooters. The company says its mascot Duo spotted an empty nest and that learning can show up in some unexpected places. GoFundMe is out with its 2025 Year in Help report, and St. Louisans played a pretty big role in giving back. Check it out. The yearly recap highlighted the many funds set up to help May 16 tornado survivors, many of which we covered right here on 5 on Your Side. And then across the world, GoFundMe raised $330 million for disaster relief. One of the biggest local fundraisers was actually for St. Louis police officer Nathan Spees, who lost part of his leg when he was hit by a car making an arrest. That GoFundMe raised more than $140,000. Well, let's take a look at the Gateway Arch. Soon the days you can get into the national park for free will change, and Travis Cummings explains.
Just a heads up for 2026, you will not be able to get inside the Gateway Arch for free on national holidays like Martin Luther King Day or Juneteenth. That is because the National Park Service has eliminated these dates from its free admissions calendar all across the country. Now, I can tell you what dates are on there. June 14th, Flag Day, which happens to be President Donald Trump's birthday, Theodore Roosevelt's birthday, as well as the National Park Service's anniversary. Now, the Park Service hasn't exactly said why it's taking these dates off and replacing them with those, but we do know that the Trump administration has not been favorable of anything DEI related, and they are pushing this American all-inclusive notion forward. Now, another thing that they're doing, they are going to be charging non-U.S. citizens and permanent residents a little bit more to get in to 11 national parks across the country. This has obviously raised an uproar for many of our communities here in the United States. I want to know what you think.
Well, let's look outside Lambert St. Louis International Airport. Just in time for spring break, Frontier Airlines is offering a new flight. Starting March 13th, the airline will offer a direct flight twice a week to Fort Lauderdale. And you might want to book your seat fast because it is for just a limited time. Tickets, by the way, start at $79. If you are still waiting to order your holiday gifts, well, you might want to get online right now because shipping companies like UPS and FedEx are reporting some pretty big delays after the FAA grounded a number of its planes that deliver packages. Of course, this all comes from that deadly UPS cargo plane crash in Kentucky last month. Following the crash, the FAA put MD-11 aircrafts on the ground until they can be inspected. And right now, there's just no timeline on when the planes could be cleared to take flight.
And some of those packages that would be on those airplanes are now going into trucks. But now, instead of an airport worker handling that package, it's got to go to a ground hub. And maybe they didn't have the right staffing at the ground hub to handle those tens of thousands of packages that they thought were going to be at the airport.
In a statement, UPS said, following the grounding of our MD-11 fleet, we have taken multiple steps to manage our network, including securing additional aircraft to augment our fleet. We also have consolidated flight routes to maximize air capacity, and we have reconfigured our ground network, adding additional capacity to move more packages. By the way, it is also giving season. Amazon is trying to help you give back to your delivery driver. The tech company is promising to pick up the tab when you tip your driver $5. You can do that through the app, website, or if you have an Alexa, you can tell it to thank my driver. Amazon first started that program back in 2022. A popular kids' toy is being recalled just in time for the holidays. These Crayola branded Pip cubes are being pulled from store shelves. These specific cubes were sold in bold colors and glitter, and they were sold at Michaels stores and on Amazon. But make sure you just check the UPC codes for the ones that are recalled. The CPSC says the danger in these cubes really comes from the magnets. If they become loose, of course, they can become a choking hazard. Next month, Team USA will be selected at the U.S. Figure Skating Championships at the Enterprise Center. And at the same time, junior and novice skaters will compete at the Centene Community Ice Center in Maryland Heights. We want to let you know that tickets for those sessions are on sale right now. We've posted a link in the As Seen on TV section of KSDK.com. And we know the holidays are here. Chase Plaza in the Central West End has several events happening this month that we want to tell you about.
Fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh,
Performances will continue at the Royal Sonesta Chase Park Plaza through the 21st, and on Fridays they go from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. You can also stay at the North Pole Parlor. It is a suite decked out like a winter wonderland, only available though for stays during December.
So you'll see warm and cozy snowflakes and warmth, and it just gives our guests somewhere that is decorated and a place to be when they're away from home, which is always hard during the holidays.
You can also check out this gingerbread village on display, and it shows the St. Louis skyline. Pretty cool. All right, before we go, Five on Your Side and the Foster and Adoptive Care Coalition are collecting holiday gifts for children in foster care. We still have a little less than 2,000 Little Wishes to grant. So if you'd like to help, go to ksdk.com/Little Wishes. We would love to see you get involved. Okay, that's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for watching Michelle on the Money. For more money stories like these, be sure to join me every day on Today in St. Louis starting at 5 a.m. We're going to see you again next weekend right here on the 5+ app.